Hello, everyone. Welcome. So, today we are discussing one of the most talked about international pathways for doctors. That's Germany. Germany has emerged as a strong destination for medical professionals, offering structured training, career stability, and long term opportunities. But at the same time, the pathway involves multiple steps, language requirements, recognition processes, licensing procedures, and system understanding. So, to help us understand this journey with clarity, we have two wonderful guests joining us today. We have Ms. Sapna Bhosle and Ms. Rumani from ProRecognition, who bring valuable insights into the Germany pathway and have been closely involved in guiding professionals through different stages of the transition process. ProRecognition is an initiative connected with the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce. So we are really excited to have both of you here today to share your expertise, practical insights, and guidance for doctors who are exploring Germany as a career destination. Very warm welcome to you, Sapna and Romani.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Can we just have a brief intro about ProRecognition or about this initiative before we actually go on to the exact pathway?
Sure. So, ProRecognition is a project that is funded by the German government, particularly by the German Ministry for Education, Research, Women, Senior Citizens, and Youth. And it is a funded project, which means that the service that is offered by the project is free of cost to all candidates who reach out to us. The project is available in 9 countries and it is controlled in Germany by our controlling team.
That's nice. So, Japna, just to start with, for an Indian doctor who wants to practice in Germany, can you give us a brief overview of the entire journey, or let's say from India to working in a hospital in Germany? What are the key stages or steps involved?
Yeah. So, first of all, the candidate in question needs to have a completed qualification. So, that includes finishing their internship and having their medical degree as well as their license from India. Furthermore, they need to have learned German language, which is very essential because every communication in Germany happens in German. So language becomes a mandatory part of the process. Once they have acquired the required language level, they can first apply for the recognition of their qualifications. This can be done from the home country itself. And after they receive the initial assessment, so notification about partial recognition, that is when they can migrate to Germany. Once they're in Germany, there are adaptation measures that they need to complete. There are qualifying exams that they need to give before they can be licensed to work in Germany. And only after that, they can be fully qualified to work independently as doctors in Germany.
So, understanding in Germany, language is really, really important. I think the next question that many doctors will have on mind is how much German proficiency is realistically required to start working as a doctor? Is it mandatory to complete language certification before starting the qualification recognition process, Romani?
Yeah, that is a good question. We also get that a lot from our candidates. Realistically speaking, the doctors need to reflect on their own profession and see how much language plays a part. Let's say if somebody is here in Maharashtra and there is a doctor speaking in Marathi with a patient, and how much difference that makes. The language, the communication in this profession. So, since you're going to be in Germany, and German is the only official language of Germany, they don't have any other official languages such as English. Legally speaking, German level B2 at the intermediate level is mandatory in all the states in Germany. This process can be initiated before they have started with the language. But realistically speaking, it doesn't make any sense because in a lot of cases, it makes sense for the professionals to start the journey for the recognition and licensing at least until after they have had B1. Okay, because what happens is that that also gives them a good understanding of the language and the kind of challenges that might fall before them once they are in Germany. That gives them also good amount of time to familiarize with the language, and then they are ready to mentally also start the process after they have reached at least an intermediate level in German. Yeah, so it technically it can be started before they have German language, but we don't recommend that. Yeah, so we always recommended once you're closer to the B2 level, that's when you start preparing. Because what we also see that a lot of doctors, even the B2 is the minimum requirement, once they start learning German, they get also a reality check of how much they also need to improve their language. So that's why then they also continue up until the advanced levels and then they start the process. So recommendation is always that, first familiarize yourself with the language and then make the decision.
So in that case, Romani, I've also heard about C1, right? So C1 is also a language level which is required after B.
Yes, correct. So C1 is not mandatory. The B2 is the legally mandatory minimum level, but a lot of candidates also do the C1 level regular courses. The exam that they need to give will be at the C1 level, so like at that kind of language level. But a lot of candidates also choose to do the regular courses as well as the medicine specialized language courses as well at that level.
Now we understand that Germany has multiple federal states. So what factors should doctors consider when selecting where to apply?
Yeah, that's a good question, Ashwini. See, it's quite similar to how it is in India. You can be licensed only in one state. So, considering that it is a foreign professional who is migrating to Germany, they need to identify and choose one state where they can initiate their recognition process and remain tied to that state, loyal to that state, at least till they complete the recognition process, including the adaptation measures that are there. And once they are got their license, then of course, if they wish to switch to another state, they can surrender the license in one state and take it in another state. But during the recognition process, it is important that they are in one state which they have chosen where they have started their application.
And they have to apply for jobs only in that one state where they've got the license for. So I think this makes it even more difficulty for doctors. Are there major differences in timelines or difficulty between these states? Like which state is IMG friendly, anything like that?
No such thing. See, it is a dynamic process. I can give you an example. A couple of years ago, the state of North and Westphalia, the process was very smooth, very easy, and everybody started applying there. Everybody started applying there. And then the authorities in that state were overworked with the number of applications. And of course, then the process started slowing down. So it is a very dynamic process. As a government funded project, we do not recommend one state over the other. We are fair in that choice. But we do discuss with candidates what their preferences are, whether they have friends or family or relatives in a particular state. That also helps them just make the decision because it could help them with the initial arrival in Germany and help them settle there. So choosing a state is something very personal. One advice that I would give here is don't go by all the chatter on the social media channels because people who give the information usually only have information about the particular state where they may have applied, but chances are that the process might change because the different states and the different authorities, they keep updating their processes. So it's always better to reach out to an expert, understand what the current situation is before deciding where to apply.
Okay, noted. So, Rumani, so how long does the recognition and licensing process usually take from the application to approbation? And understanding like how now Sapna told, now there are different states. Does the timeline change for each state as well, or it's almost the same, the recognition and licensing process timeline?
No, so it's not the same. It varies significantly as per the state. And like Sapna said, the process is dynamic. So we also sometimes get questions from the candidates like, ma'am, tell me which state is the fastest and I'll just apply there. Even if the candidate applies today, at today, that state is like, let's say, that might not be the case couple months later because sometimes what happens is that, the people, how burden the authority is if there are, let's say, holidays approaching, like for example, there are several factors that can contribute to the timelines. Roughly speaking, minimum 4 months after the candidates have submitted the documents, for recognition. Usually, that is on average time that we have seen. And after that, couple months for the visa for the candidates. And then after that, it depends on the kind of course that they have selected for the FSP preparation, which is like a language test. And once that language test is done, it also depends on how quickly they prepare themselves for the knowledge test. So, roughly speaking, getting their Bescheid, that is their like a document to for them to apply for the visa and go to Germany and go these exams. Roughly speaking, they can calculate about 1.5 to 2 years of the process until they get their full license to practice as a general physician.
So before this, what they do in India is their foundation. That is at A1, A2, B1.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. They do their foundation for the languages, they collect their documents, send the documents to the authority. And after getting a confirmation from the authority that, you can now come to Germany and give these exams, then at that point they apply.
Now, because we just spoke about the documents,
Mm-hmm.
can we give some information to our audience on what are the primary or let's say typically required documents for medical qualification recognition?
Yeah. So, like Sapna said in the beginning, they need to have completed their qualification. So, nobody can apply in their fourth year or fifth year of MBBS. They will need to have completed their entire qualification. They should have registered with the state medical council and should have had their registration as a medical professional in India. Only after that, they would have ideally the complete set of documents. So, all of their educational certificate, if they also have work experience, then those documents. In some cases, some authorities also ask for documents such as the birth certificate, the marriage certificate, if it is available, the certificate if the name has been changed. So these are the general documents. It also depends on the authority in what format they're asking for these documents. Yeah, so these documents need to be attested, translated, and which documents need to be attested and translated, that depends on the authority.
Because we're speaking about the documents, I just had one doubt. We do get many calls or inquiries from foreign medical graduates, the FMGs who've done their MBBS from Russia, Philippines, these kind of countries. Now, they don't want to give the FMG exam here or do internship. Are they eligible? Because they will generally not have state medical license to practice.
If they have a license from the country that they have done their MBBS in, only then they can apply. Like I said, this entire process needs to be completed from their graduation until they get their registrations. If they have a registration in that country, then that is possible. Otherwise, they need to have a registration in India.
Understood.
Usually, it is accepted by the authorities, or rather preferred by the authorities, that they have the license in the country where they have studied.
Now, I'm sure many specialists will also be watching this podcast today. Let's say if I'm a specialist, I've completed my PG from India.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any fast track pathway or can I directly work as a specialist in Germany?
Yeah. So the short answer is no. The longer answer is both the education systems are really dynamic. Yeah, so that's why directly getting the PG recognized, there is no, unfortunately, fast track way. Rather, there is a slightly lengthier way. What we discuss with the candidates is what way they would prefer to go. So if there is a person who has done their specialization, super specialization, and has had also more than, let's say, 5 years of work experience, then this lengthier process is recommended. But it also depends on, what the candidate wants to do. In most of the cases that we have seen, the candidates usually go with the regular process where they get the recognition first as a general physician, and then they get their specialization recognized later on by applying for the residencies in Germany for their specialization, or even a different specialization if they wish to do so.
It was good to know. And I'm sure many doctors watching this would have understood now.
Yeah.
So, Sapna, now continuing this conversation. So, do candidates really need to travel to Germany for exams and preparatory courses, or even the B2 can happen from India itself?
So, when we are talking about language, till B2 is general German, but as part of the adaptation measures that I mentioned earlier, the doctors have to clear an exam that is it's called as example for FSP is what people call it. It is a medical terminology examination, which includes knowledge of the medical terminology in German and also includes patient communication skills and also communication with fellow doctors and specialists in the field. So, this course is unfortunately not offered in India. There are a lot of course providers for it in Germany. And once the person has received their partial recognition after the initial assessment by the authority, then they are eligible to travel to Germany and attend these preparatory courses before they can give this exam.
So in that case, they have to travel to Germany to give the FSP exam.
Correct. And also preparatory courses. There are few courses which are available online, but our recommendation is always to go and learn locally in Germany because it helps if it is an offline course. Interaction is stronger, standing is better, and you already start looking in the environment there. So it also helps you improve on your language. So it makes more sense when they are doing an offline course and interacting with fellow doctors.
So now, just for our audience, if someone is looking forward to move to Germany, are there structured preparation programs available, or do you, if they reach out to you, do you all recommend them to which institute to go to in the Germany?
So I can't say that there are structured institutes where they provide everything from A to Z. There are courses, there are institutes available specifically for just the medical language course and preparation. There are different institutes that provide training for the knowledge test, which is the second exam that they need to give as part of the adaptation training. And sometimes both these are provided by the same institute. Sometimes there are different institutes that provide this. So that would depend on the state.
Okay. So, is there any recommendation given by you, Sapna, if candidates reach out to you? Like, do you help them to which institute to go to?
We provide them with some options. Again, because of the funding of our project, we don't favor one host provider over another, but we try to be fair. And again, depending on which state the candidates have chosen to apply in, there are different language providers or course providers in each state. So we help them narrow it down, and then also it depends on whether the course is online, offline, what is the duration of the course? Is it a 4-week course, a 6-week course, 3 months, 6 months? So according to that, whether it also fits into the budget, when the course starts, and whether it is realistic, depending on whether they get their visa in time. So all these things we discuss with the candidates, and then we kind of help them narrow it down. And many times they also have some friends or colleagues who have already done a course, but then they also recommend a particular institute. Many of our candidates who are already in Germany, they also come back to us with feedback on particular institutes where they have had a good experience, which have helped them clear the exam in the first attempt itself. So we keep all these factors in mind and then advise individuals according to that.
So now we also receive many doctors reaching out to us. They do because they speak to many of their friends, their colleagues, their peers. Currently, the situation is the market is like Western countries have become very competitive. There are English speaking countries, whether it's US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, all have become a little tougher for this MBBS doctors. Of course, for postgraduate doctors, there are many options, but for MBBS doctors, the job market has become very competitive. So we're gradually seeing that there are many doctors are reaching out to us on Germany pathway. So I see that Germany is becoming a popular destination for doctors who want to explore proper postgraduate structured training. So from your experience, how competitive is PG entry there? And how long does the training typically last?
So, PG, the way it is structured in India and the way it is structured in Germany is significantly different. So, somebody who wants to do a specialization in Germany does it as part of a residency where they continue to work as a fully qualified paid doctor. But suppose if they have the intention to specialize in a particular field, then they would reach out to the Chamber of Doctors in the particular state where they are working and apply to do a specialization. So it is guided by the Chamber of Doctors, and then the individual doctor will do the residency, complete task, complete a logbook of tasks. And it's a typical 5 to 6 year residency, after which they will appear for an exam. So the learning is more practical. It is more learning by doing. So it is quite different from the PG that we have in India.
So let's say, just for our understanding, now once a doctor is done with all the language exams, has cleared the FSB, has cleared the knowledge exam, then the next step is they'll apply for the PG training and they'll get selected in the first attempt itself, or do they take many years to get selected to the residency spot?
It depends on the hospital where they are applying. So it's similar to how you applied for a job, that you applied to do a residency in a particular hospital, and if they have an opening there, then they are invited to interview for the position. As you know, Germany is a lot smaller than India, so the number of university clinics also are lesser. That also means that for the specialization, they have to apply. What makes sense is that they know for sure in which field they would like to do their specialization, and that they submit their application only for that one particular field. Uh, and that specialization they can apply to do anywhere in Germany because they would already be licensed. So if they have got their license from one state, but they want to do their specialization in another state, they can definitely apply to do the specialization, transfer their license, and work there.
That's nice. And roughly how many, I mean, do we have the numbers, Sapna? Like how many Indian doctors are currently practicing in Germany?
That's a little difficult for us to estimate. What I can tell you is that we have advised more than 400 medical professionals in the time since our project started.
Okay.
And many of them have migrated to Germany, but of course they lose touch with us. So we don't get an update on where they are in the process right now. From the ones that we know of, many of them are successfully working. They've completed their language exam and the knowledge test, and now have started working as doctors in a particular department. Some of them have also started doing their specialization, but it's difficult for me to give you a concrete figure there.
It's okay. Thank you. So I think we are coming to the most important segment where I think every person watching this podcast would like to know. That's on the cost. So
Yeah.
what is the approximate total cost of the entire Germany pathway? Like I know you will not be able to give the exact number,
Yeah.
but at least if you can give briefly, like including the
Yeah.
language exams, the relocation cost, and what they spend for documentation. Like, what would be the approximate total cost that a doctor should be prepared with mentally?
Correct. Costs, they start getting involved from India onwards because, like we discussed earlier, they first need to build this foundation in India, that is specifically language training. For language training, we do not recommend any particular language course provider, but we recommend that they give the exams of at least Goethe Institute or TEL, which are recognized globally and are also expected to be submitted for this recognition process. So what we recommend is that they invest in a good course. Doesn't have to be an expensive course, but a good course. So there the cost can vary depending on the what kind of tutor they select, the exams that they need to give. The exam costs usually come up to 8 to 10,000 per exam, but the candidates can also choose to directly give the final exam. So they don't have to give the A1 exam, then the A2 exam, then the B1 exam. So they can also choose to directly give the B1 exam. That is where the flexibility is, of course, given to the candidates. These costs, once they have incurred, they will need to prepare their documents. Yeah, so then it depends if it costs them to get their transcripts from their own university or not. Then those costs will need to be incurred there. And then, as I said earlier, they also need to certify their documents through the German embassy. So not through a local notary, but through the German embassy, those documents need to be attested. and usually that cost goes up to 2 to 3,000 per document. But like I said, every state has a different requirement of the documents, so you need to see where you're applying and what are the requirements of that particular state. Okay, there are some states who say that okay, we need only these four main documents to be attested. There are some states who say that we need all the documents attested. Okay, so that also depends on their state preference, how the costs will be incurred over there. The main bigger cost comes into the picture once they have to apply for the visa, and that is where they need to show the proof that they will be able to support themselves specifically for their living costs. So over there, they will need to have at least 1200 euros per month in a blocked account format, which they will need to submit for the visa. Okay, the exact number is 1160 something, but roughly 1200 euros per month before taxes they need to show to the German consulate where they will have their visa appointment, that they can support themselves. And this cost is specifically only for their living cost in Germany. So if they are going to attend any courses and all of that, and if those courses have any fees, then they will also need to incur those. In a lot of the cases, the candidates also have an opportunity to apply for funded courses. So that depends on the state and where they are applying. So we also help the candidates identify such institutes, and we also help them with selecting, like Sapna said earlier, with the language institutions by providing them with the right resources. So the main cost, like I said, is mainly the living cost that they need to incur in Germany, and they need to calculate roughly for at least a year.
So for per month, roughly, as you said, around 1,000
Yes, 1200 euros roughly per month
euros.
on average. Yeah, because they also need to contribute to the insurance, plus they need to take care of their rent and living costs as well.
Because you just mentioned that you will also support them if possible to apply for this funding programs or what we call scholarship. The scholarship would cover what cost? Is it a exam fee or what all costs can be covered? Is the funding of the scholarship large enough to cover all costs? Do you have any number on it?
No. So what funding means in this case is that their courses will be funded. Okay. So all the preparatory courses that they need to do, which cost anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 euros for 3 or 4 months of duration, whatever the time is. So those courses are usually funded. So we help them identify the institutes where such funded courses are offered. This funding is not guaranteed. This is something that they have to apply for when they're in Germany, and the institutes they usually guide them regarding that and how to proceed with the funding.
Understood, Rumani. Thank you. I think now again, a very interesting segment for the audience. We're going to talk about salary and savings now. So, Sapna, if you can tell, like many doctors are interested not just in salary because that they see that, okay, it's available, this is a salary that I get, but mostly what they would like to know is how much can I save, whether it could be after taxes or living expenses or the insurance and the other daily costs. How much can a doctor realistically save per month in Germany during the initial years?
Savings is a very subjective topic, so it depends on a lot of factors. If we look at rent, then that will depend on the kind of accommodation that you choose to take for yourself, whether you're going to live in a shared apartment with few other people, whether you're going to choose to stay in a PG, or whether you want an apartment to yourself. And then it also depends on the location. If you're going to stay in a big city or in a suburban area or a small town, the rent will definitely have a different amount. So, for example, now if you're staying by yourself, a one bedroom apartment in Berlin can cost up to 1100, 1200 euros a month just for the rent. So that's already a large part of your salary going just towards rent. Then it also depends on the kind of person that you are. Typically, if you are somebody who is conscious about saving money, if you cook your own meals and don't party too much, don't have very grand travel plans, then you can easily save at least half of your salary after taxes. Taxes in Germany do take up a large part of your income because there is different things that you are taxed on, and insurance is a mandatory part of uh, your payout in Germany. So it covers health insurance, long-term care insurance, accident insurance, and your pension insurance. So these factors already you have to consider that there is a large chunk of your savings that goes, or the large chunk of your salary that goes into that. So Germany follows a solidarity principle. That means that if you look at insurance, it is all pooled together, and the young pay for the old, the rich pay for the poor, the healthy pay for the sick. So it is not the amount of insurance that you put for yourself separately that is going to take care of yourself, but what other people will say, put into insurance when you need it, it'll go to your insurance.
I think though we did not get the exact number, but I guess audience understood what all are included, like even though when they get the salary in hand, what all can get deducted. Approximately, you've given them the accommodation expense. I think that should give them a rough calculation.
Yeah, so if you say that, suppose if you have a salary of maybe 5,000 euros a month, some of that goes towards your taxes and insurance, the remaining part goes into your living expenses. You could still save at least around 2,000 euros easily a month despite all your expenses.
So I guess we've covered most of it in today's podcast. An aspiring doctor, I'm sure you would like to know about the exam steps, the pathway, the cost involved, the salary, the savings. I guess we've had wonderful guests and they're very patiently they answered all the questions. Thank you to both of you for your time. Now I have one last question. How can Indo-German Chamber of Commerce assist Indian doctors who are exploring Germany? For which service or for which segment they should reach out to you, and how can they connect?
If a candidate, if you are an Indian doctor listening to this podcast, thinking if Germany is the right option for you, think about all those things that we have discussed. Think about, all the things that you need to prepare, because this process, it requires patience, tremendous patience, especially with the bureaucracy in India, in Germany. So, if you have decided seriously to pursue Germany as a career destination, you can also start seriously investing in German language. And if you have already, let's say, have already considered Germany, have started the German language process, and are now closer to applying for the recognition process, for this licensing process, let's say you are already at A2 level or B1 level, do reach out to us and we will be able to support you throughout this. But if you also have any general questions, like for example, does it make sense for me to go through all of this process? Do reach out to us. We also have our email or our calling us where we do cater to your questions, but we will be able to support you more intensively and individually once you're at that stage when you are closer to apply for the recognition process. This is how we can support you. We will guide you throughout the entire process from the point where you're in India, have started the process, till the point you are in Germany. When you're in Germany, you also have other resources, but you can always come back to us. We are always happy if you do with your questions, with your feedback about migration to Germany, and we also, happily also share that feedback with other aspiring professionals like yourself.
So thank you, Sapna, and thank you, Rumani. It was wonderful having you both. And thank you for all the support that you're giving for Indian doctors who are exploring Germany.
Thank you so much
It's
for
a
having us.
pleasure, absolute pleasure being here and answering all the questions. We hope that this has given a small insight to the professionals who are considering Germany as a migration pathway, and we wish all of them the very best of luck. And we're here to help if there are any questions and if they require support. Thank you so much, Ashwini and Team Go Campus, for organizing this podcast today and letting us also share some valuable insights with the audience. It's been a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you.